Okay, so imagine this. You're a musician and you've got all this music in your head, like a lifetime's worth of songs. And then after 30 years, you finally get to bring them to life. Well, that's the story we're diving into today with John Candy and his project Never Can Tell. We've got excerpts from his bio and lyrics from his debut album, Sorry I'm Late, and some really insightful reviews, too.
Yeah, it's such a cool story. It's about delayed gratification, but also how artistic vision can change over time. It's fascinating.
I know, right? And it all starts in the 1970s in Copenhagen. Candy's childhood was tough, and music became like his safe space. But even back then, you could see hints of his analytical mind.
Oh, totally.
The mind that would go on to shape his music later on.
Yeah, he talks about listening to records at like faster speeds just to hear the bass line. It's like he was taking music apart, trying to figure out how it all worked.
Wow.
Yeah, most kids are just bopping their heads to the beat. But he's going deeper, like dissecting the sound.
Like those kids who take their toys apart to see how they work. He was doing that, but with music. And you can hear that analytical approach in his compositions, even in his early bands.
Yeah, and speaking of those early bands, I think they're a really important part of the Never Can Tell story. Because that's where the frustration starts.
Oh, how so?
Well, he loved writing music, but he didn't like having to work with other people. He thought it was too limiting.
Too many cooks in the kitchen.
Exactly.
He had such a clear vision for his music, and having to compromise in a band just wasn't working for him.
Right.
So in the late 80s, he forms Never Can Tell, and his goal is to have total creative control.
Yeah, but even with his own project, it was hard to keep a steady lineup. Money was tight. And let's be real, Canning's music isn't exactly easy listening.
Yeah, it's complex. It's challenging.
Yeah.
You need musicians who are not only skilled, but also willing to really dedicate themselves to it, even without a guarantee of, commercial success.
Exactly.
So that leads to Never Can Tell disbanding in 93. But here's the thing. Candy doesn't give up on his dream. He's determined to record those songs someday.
Yeah.
Exactly as he hears them in his head.
It's a good thing he didn't give up.
It is. And this brings us to 2020 and the pandemic.
Oh, wow, yeah.
An event that would actually breathe new life into Never Can Tell. One of the reviews mentions Mark King from Level 42, posting videos during lockdown. It was almost like these experienced musicians felt lost without live performance.
Yeah, I remember that.
And Candy, being the entrepreneur that he is, sees both the struggle and the opportunity.
Interesting.
Yeah, she now has the resources to make his vision a reality. And there are all these talented musicians who are suddenly available and eager to collaborate.
Like a perfect storm.
Exactly. 30 years of pent-up creative energy meets this unique moment in history. And from that, Sorry I'm Late, is born.
10 tracks chosen from a collection of 30.
Wow.
Spanning all sorts of genres. And showcasing Canning's growth as a musician. What I find amazing is how he manages to keep a consistent sound while exploring such a diverse range of music.
Yeah, and speaking of challenges, we can't forget Nicholas Sun, the album's producer and multi-instrumentalist.
Right.
Even he admitted that Candy's compositions pushed him outside of his comfort zone.
Sun has worked with some of the biggest names in music. So that tells you something about how detailed and complex Canning's music is. It's not just the notes. It's the layers, the textures, how everything fits together.
It's like those 3D puzzles where every piece has to be in exactly the right spot for the image to show up.
Yes.
And that precision goes for the lyrics, too. Party all night caught my attention right away. Cartoon characters coming to life. I mean, how fun is that?
Right. It's so playful and whimsical. I think it shows that mature imagination that one reviewer talked about. It's like Canning's reminding us not to lose that childlike sense of wonder, even as we deal with more serious topics.
Yeah, because he definitely doesn't shy away from those.
One night I got entangled in a mystery beyond compare. The cartoons in my comic book behaved as if I wasn't there.
A World of Many Worlds, for example, tackled social issues head-on.
Yeah.
There are these really powerful lyrics about pollution, disillusionment, a sense of the world spiraling out of control.
Let us all just once again assail our ears. For all the truth of human failure we don't wanna hear.
Hey, it's up to you, whatever you can do. So if you're gonna ride,
Be the surprise will soon appear through
everybody talk about
United Nations.
somebody talk about
Food for
nobody talk about
civilization. All you gotta do is let it be a part of you.
And the way he structures the song with the raconteur and the interposer voices, it creates this really interesting internal dialogue. It's like he's capturing that struggle between wanting to face reality and wanting to protect ourselves from it.
Yeah, it's a struggle I think a lot of us can relate to, especially in a world where we're constantly bombarded with information, both good and bad.
Absolutely.
And you have Nostradamus, where he shifts the focus to the past, almost like he's looking for guidance from history. It's fascinating how he uses the imagery of the townspeople pleading with Nostradamus for answers.
They blame their parents and their past for what they are today. But the past cannot be changed, so they're doomed to stay that way. This is the time, this is the place, and this is the catch. We will never make the same mistake again. We will offer ourselves to every pain. We will never make the same mistake again. So Michael, you riddle me now. I am the people, I remain anonymous. Fighting our way through lance and sword. You are the famous Michael Nostradamus. You are the wind and word.
Hoping to avoid repeating the mistakes of the past.
Yeah, that's a good point. It taps into that human desire for certainty, for knowing what the future holds. But there's also a sense of warning there, a suggestion that maybe we're too focused on predicting the future instead of focusing on the present.
I see what you mean.
You have come before me so to seek the knowledge that I know. But my poems are only for future time, so I'll write them down in a mystical rhyme. Go back to your homes, to all the black kings who have lost the throne.
It makes you wonder if we're all looking for our own Nostradamus, someone to tell us what's going to happen next. But maybe the real message is that we have the power to change the future, by what we do today.
That's a really powerful thought. And, speaking of powerful emotions, Prisoner of the Dark and Vision of the Dark, those two really got to me.
Oh, yeah.
I know they're sequels, technically, but they explore darkness in such different ways.
I felt that contrast, too. Prisoner of the Dark felt so claustrophobic.
Right.
Like being trapped in your own head with all your secrets and fears.
It's the words he uses, right?
Yeah.
Like chains and shadows.
Yeah.
Being suffocated by your own darkness. It's very internal, very personal.
Yeah.
Got involved in love affairs when I was young. I fell in love with every girl. Every time we dropped our clothes, the light went out. We got exposed in different worlds. You will never love again. You will always feel the pain. You will always feel this way. I will never get satisfied. I'll have to wear my pride. I cannot see your face. We are prisoners of the dark. We better leave it.
And then Vision of the Dark kind of shifts the perspective outward. It's still about darkness, but it's more about how we all experience it together, how it can both bring us together and isolate us at the same time.
Exactly. It's not so much about individual guilt anymore. It's more about a shared human experience. Like those lines, we gather in the darkness, seeking solace in the unknown. It's almost like a ritual, like we're drawn to darkness even though we're scared of it.
It's like moths to a flame.
The love we make, the steps we take, the vision of the dark. Will the night will comfort us, so decide which side you're on. Not even moonlight can prevent that darkness lingers on. Hey, 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 darkness makes you feel good. Hey, 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 darkness makes you give away.
There's something about the unknown that draws us in. even if it might be dangerous. And then there's You and I, which is just pure, raw emotion.
Right.
The loneliness, the longing.
Yeah.
It's almost hard to listen to.
It's that vulnerability, that willingness to just put his heart out there. That's what makes it so powerful. You can hear the pain in his voice.
Wish I could show my mother all my friends and make her proud. But how can I be lonely in the middle of a crowd? And I'm so lonely. I'm so lonely.
And it resonates because we've all felt that.
Right.
That feeling of unrequited love, of being alone, even when you're surrounded by people.
It's a good reminder that even someone who seems to have it all figured out like Canning still struggles with those basic human emotions.
Yeah, it makes him more relatable, more human.
Totally.
I like to touch you like a leaf would touch the ground. And every time I'm with you, I'm the proudest one around. Now and then you leave me cold and then I'm really down. But everyone is so nice to me. Everyone is so nice to me.
And, this brings us back to something we talked about earlier, that mature imagination of Canding's.
Oh, right.
It's not just about whimsy, it's about his ability to tap into such a wide range of emotions and experiences.
Yeah, he can go from playful to serious, from looking inward to looking at society as a whole, all within one album. It's like he's saying, this is the world as I see it, with all its ups and downs and contradictions.
And that's what makes Sorry I'm Late so interesting. It's not just a bunch of songs, it's a journey through the mind of an artist who spent decades perfecting his craft and refining his vision.
Something that really stood out to me reading those reviews was how much emphasis they put on the collaboration aspect of this project. It's not just Canning working alone, it's a team effort.
Oh, for sure. You can hear that in the music, those little details, those unexpected moments. They lift the songs to another level, something Canning couldn't have done on his own.
Yeah.
Like take the guitar solo in Nostradamus, for example. It's so intricate, so technically difficult, but it also has this raw, almost chaotic energy.
That's a great example. You can tell there's a conversation happening between Canding's vision and the unique talents of the musicians he brought in.
Yeah.
Like they're pushing each other to create something really special.
And that's where Nicholas Sun's expertise comes in. Remember, he's not just the producer. He plays multiple instruments himself.
Oh, right.
So he understands both the technical and creative sides of things.
I'm curious, do you think Canding's background as an entrepreneur played a role in this project? I mean, building a successful business requires collaboration, delegation, knowing when to trust the experts.
That's an interesting thought. It's definitely possible that his business experience helped him put together and lead a team of talented musicians. He had to be clear about his vision, but also open to feedback and collaboration.
And he's been really open about the challenges he faced, both with money and logistics. He's not trying to make it seem easier than it was. He's showing us what it really takes to bring a complex creative project to life.
And that honesty, that willingness to share both the good and the bad, that's what makes his story so inspiring.
Definitely.
It reminds us that creative fulfillment often needs perseverance, adaptability, and a good amount of teamwork.
It's not a journey you take alone, even if you're the one with the vision in the beginning. And speaking of vision, Canning plans to release the other 20 songs over the next few years.
Wow.
Yeah, and he wants to document the whole process.
That's amazing. It's like he's creating a masterclass in delayed gratification, showing us that it's never too late to follow your creative passions. It's not about instant success. It's about the journey, the commitment to seeing your vision through no matter how long it takes.
It makes you wonder, what would have happened if Canning had given up on Never Can Tell back in '93? Would those songs still be stuck in his head?
Yeah.
Or would they have found a way out somehow?
That's a great question. And it gets to the core of what we're talking about here, the connection between artistic vision and time. Do ideas expire? Or do they just grow and mature along with the artist?
I think Canning's story shows that creative passion, if you nurture it and give it space, can actually become deeper and more nuanced over time.
I agree. And that's really encouraging for anyone who feels like they've missed their chance.
Totally.
Canning is proof that it's never too late to pick up those old dreams and give them another shot.
Absolutely. And there's one more detail from the reviews that I think speaks to this idea of a creative vision that goes beyond time. Andreas Smedegaard, the drummer from Never Can Tell's early days, he specifically mentions the song Party All Night and Canning's mature imagination.
Oh, yeah. He basically says that Canding's ability to bring cartoon characters to life, to give them so much personality and humor, it wasn't just a youthful thing, it was a sign of something deeper, a hint of the artistry that would eventually shine through in Sorry I'm Late.
Spider-Man and He-Man talk to Batman about their greatest fights. Superman and Dracula would lay down in their kryptonite. Paralyzed and mesmerized, I could not believe my eyes. Had to light the candlelight, came in handy with extended sight. Let's go, party, party, party all night. We know we're not allowed to party when it's light.
It makes you think maybe those early glimpses of Canding's creative potential, those seeds planted decades ago, were always meant to bloom.
Maybe. Or maybe it's the combination of that youthful energy and the wisdom he's gained over the years that makes Sorry I'm Late so captivating.
Either way, it's clear that John Canding is an artist worth watching. As he keeps releasing those other songs, I'm really curious to see how his vision develops, how those seeds of inspiration from so long ago continue to grow and change.
I totally agree. And I think it's safe to say that we as listeners have a lot to learn from Canding's journey, both as artists and as people navigating life and the power of creative passion.
Yeah, it really makes you think about playing the long game, not just with music, but with anything creative. Sometimes the best work takes time and patience. And being okay with letting ideas develop slowly.
I think that's a huge takeaway from Canding's story, for sure. We're so used to instant gratification these days. But real art often takes its own sweet time.
And sometimes it takes something from outside, like the pandemic, to shake things up, to give those dreams that have been on hold a chance to finally come out.
Absolutely. And I think that's what makes Canding such a great artist. He doesn't avoid complex emotions or tough questions. He encourages us to think critically, to engage with the world. But he also reminds us to keep that sense of childlike wonder.
It's a tricky balance, and he does it so well. You know, one of the things I really like about doing these deep dives is that we're not just talking about the music. We're exploring the context, the background, the human side of it all. It makes it so much more meaningful.
Yeah, it's like we've been given a backstage pass to Canding's creative process. We see the struggles, the victories, the teamwork. It all comes together to bring Sorry I'm Late to life.
And it shows you that great art doesn't just happen in isolation. It comes from passion, perseverance, and a willingness to connect with others who share that creative spark.
And to go back to one of our first points, I think Canding's story really challenges that idea of the lone genius. He's not afraid to collaborate, to delegate, to trust other people's expertise.
He embraces it. And that's an important lesson for all of us, whether we're musicians, writers, painters, or just people with a creative spark waiting to catch fire.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into Never Can Tell, I want to leave you with this thought. John Canding waited 30 years to fully realize his artistic vision. What dreams have you been putting off? What creative passions are hidden inside you, just waiting for the right moment to come out?
Maybe it's time to dig out those old notebooks, find those forgotten melodies, or just let yourself explore a new creative path.
Because as Canding has shown us, it's never too late to go after those dreams, to embrace the journey, and to let your creative spirit take flight.
And who knows, maybe someday we'll be here on the deep dive exploring your own creative journey.
Until then, keep listening, keep creating, and keep those creative sparks burning bright.